Hey guys, it's Ms.Hailey. Today I'll be reading 5-Minute Palace Pet Stories. This one is called A Curious Kitten for Ariel and the Ocean Voyage. Treasure was not like any other kittens. Most cats are afraid of the water, but the beach was Treasure's favorite place to play. She would chase crabs, splash in the waves, and walk along the shore collecting sparkly trinkets, shiny seashells, and beautiful gifts from the sea. But even though she loved being a beach kitten, whenever Treasure looked out over the wide ocean, she wanted to explore. She dreamed of sailing the 7 seas. One morning, Treasure saw a magnificent vessel dock nearby. She had never been on a real ship before and wanted to get a closer look. This was her chance for a great adventure. Treasure ran across the sand and hopped over rocks to get to the dock. When she reached the gangway, she looked around to see if anyone was watching. Then she quickly tiptoed on board. As Treasure started to nose around the deck, the ship began pulling away from the port. She had never been away from the beach. She was very excited. As the ship sailed off, Treasure wondered where it would take her. Would she go to the desert, to the mountains, to a big, busy city? Wherever the ship was headed, Treasure was sure she would find new friends and fun trinkets along the way. Treasure wasn't sure how long the journey would be, so she found a hiding place to take a nap. The gentle sway of the ship was sure to lure her to sleep soon enough. But just as she got cozy, Treasure noticed the ship's crew had gathered all around her. The little kitten tried to run away, but one of the crewmen picked her up before she could escape. Treasure was scared. She hadn't meant to cause trouble. What would the crew do with a stowaway kitten? Would they make her scrub the deck? Would the captain force her to walk the plank? Instead, the crew handed Treasure to the handsome young man. It was Prince Eric. Treasure hadn't known at the time, but the ship had snuck into the Prince Royal's ship. As Prince Eric held the curious kitten with her soft red fur, he couldn't help but think of someone else whom he loved very much. That special someone was Princess Ariel, and the princess would be boarding the royal ship that very day. Prince Eric announced that he would adopt Treasure for Ariel. The little red kitten was so excited to finally have a home of her own. All hands and paws were on deck to prepare for Ariel's arrival. Treasure helped polish the helm until it shined. She pulled long ropes to raise the royal flag, and she collected sparkly trinkets she found on board to decorate every nook and cranny. Then Treasure pranced along the bow with anticipation. The wind rustled her fur, and the salty spray from the waves tickled her nose. She hoped Ariel would like her as much as Prince Eric did. As the prince led Princess Ariel on board, a sea breeze blew a string of seashells next to Treasure. When the kitten leaped up to the paw of the shell, the sound caught Ariel's attention. She turned to see Treasure, a kitten with red fur, the same color as her own hair. Ariel picked up the kitten and cuddled her close. Treasure smelled of the sea, which reminded Ariel of her friends beneath the waves. This made Ariel very happy. Treasure was happy too. She purred and felt warm and safe in the princess's arms. As the ship sailed around the harbor, a party commended to celebrate Ariel and her new kitten. There was a great feast on the board with the finest food anyone could have asked for and a lively music for everyone to enjoy. When the ship returned to the port, Treasure followed Ariel and Eric up the sandy path to their castle, which had a beautiful view of the ocean. Ariel gave Treasure her very own bed and more trinkets to play with than the kitten could have ever imagined. Ariel then placed a jeweled collar around Treasure's neck and a special tiara between both her ears. But the most special gift that Ariel gave Treasure that day was a new home. Treasure was so happy to live with the princess in the royal palace. Now Ariel takes Treasure down to the beach every day to explore. They swim and jump through the waves together. They run after crabs, chase seagulls, and walk along the shore, collecting trinkets and treasures and dreaming of future adventures on the high seas. Treasure is still a little beach kitten, but now she is a beach kitten with a best friend. The Ocean Voyage. One afternoon, Treasure and her friends were playing together in the sand. As Treasure walked along the shore looking for trinkets to add to her collection, she saw something big on the beach, far off in the distance. The kitten quickly ran to get a closer look with her friend trailing behind her. To Treasure's delight, the mysterious something was a wooden rowboat. For a water-loving kitten, this was the best treasure of all. If only it wasn't stuck in the sand, she thought. I could sail the high seas all afternoon. Treasure jumped in the boat anyways and announced, "All aboard!" However, Treasure's friends were not nearly as eager to explore the open ocean as she was. As Ariel's seagull friend eyed the boat warily, Max, Princess Eric's sheepdog, inspected the boat with a sniff. Meanwhile, Sebastian the crab clutched the bow frozen with fear. But as soon as the boat was beached safely on the sand, Treasure's friend decided there was no harm in pretending to voyage across the 7 seas. The friends imagined they were on the captain and the crew of a big ship. Treasure called out commands to her sailors and kept a lookout for any danger off in the distance. She made her crew work hard, scrubbing the deck, pulling the ropes, and keeping the boat in tip-top shape. The friends were having a great time when, out of the blue, a gigantic wave rolled onto the beach and pulled them right off the sand and into the open water. Now Treasure and her friends were actually afloat at sea. Treasure didn't know where the current was taking them, but she was so excited to give it a second thought. She peeked her head over the edge of the boat and found her reflection staring back at her in the water below. A pod of friendly dolphins playfully swam nearby, quickly jumping in and out of the waves as though they were enjoying a game of tag. Meanwhile, Sebastian was worried about where they were floating to, far from home, and Max started to whimper at the sight of gray storm clouds rolling in. Max was right to worry. The sky drew darker and stormier, and the thunder rumbled off in the distance. Soon, heavy raindrops began to fall from the clouds one by one. But Captain Treasure knew what to do. "Batten down the hatches," she shouted. The crew may have been prepared for a little rain, but to Treasure's surprise, it began to pour. Friends tried to paddle back towards land, but the stormy weather turned the boat this way and that, rocking them up and down. All they could do was hold on. Thankfully, almost as suddenly as the storm rolled in, it rolled back out again. The rain stopped, the waves died down, and the dark-colored clouds melted away into a bright blue sky. The captain and the crew hugged one another and cheered. And when the friends looked up, they were treated to a beautiful rainbow. Soon a gentle wave carried their boat back to the beach, and they were safe on shore once again. Treasure had learned her lesson about the ocean. It might be beautiful, but it could also be dangerous. She decided right then and there that she would only embark on sea voyages when she was with Prince Eric and his trusty crew of sailors. Prince Eric and Princess Ariel were waiting for Max and Treasure back at the beach. Max bounded over Prince Eric and gave him a lick on his chin. Treasure ran to Ariel and curled up against the princess, purring. "Now what have you two been up to?" Ariel wondered as she scratched the little red kitten under the chin. Max and Treasure looked at one another with a secret smile, for Eric and Ariel would never know about their exciting afternoon at sea. As they walked back to the castle, the two friends agreed that they had enough adventure for one day, but it was certainly an adventure Treasure would never forget.